There's no sports league unlike it anywhere in the world, where cartoons and football come together. This is the United States Cartoon Football League, celebrating its 40th anniversary.
Greetings, cartoon and football fans, and especially fans of literary fiction. This is Bob Mozark of the USCFL Network welcoming you to this contest as we will rate and review stories written by Robbie Graham about his creation and the world's newest superheroine, Fashion Girl. Here's how this contest works. Fashion Girl, and only Fashion Girl, is participating, and football scoring will once again be used. The scores we give will also be done by a percentage rate. 120 points is the maximum score, and 100% will be the maximum percentage. There will also be an excerpt courtesy of Alexa, the Amazon app. In addition, Robbie will give you the backstory of each style chick and how they came to be. As we begin round 6, Fashion Girl has a score of 34 points out of a possible 40 points and a percentage rate of 28.3. Starting today, we will begin reviewing the 2 stories that make up the further adventures of Fashion Girl, along with a special feature as Fashion Girl gives a candid one-on-one interview with a local TV reporter. After we take a brief pause, we will begin round 6 of the further adventures of Fashion Girl, and this week's story, Enter the Phoenix. The Further Adventures of Fashion Girl, Book 1, Enter the Phoenix, Chapter 1. It was all a bad dream. Fashion Girl wakes up to realize that everything that had transpired in the Rise of Aldornia never happened. She is so shaken that she has a hard time accepting the reassurances of Dean, her boyfriend, and her other associates that she never became evil. A pregnancy test proves negative. She still needs to go out and drive around Colonia to see for herself that she had not destroyed the city. Chapter 2. Fashion Girl decides to go to confession for the first time in 11 years. The priest in the confessional recognizes her and turns out to be the father of one of her goth friends from the Rise of Aldornia. The priest had received his calling in midlife after he had already become a parent. After being comforted, Fashion Girl returns to her home to find out that she has received a new case, this time involving 2 cheerleaders being abducted from the Miami Dolphins. Chapter 3. Fashion Girl decides that she and Sephora will go undercover as cheerleaders. The other style chicks, named Tiffany and Penny, will look for suspicious activity around the stadium on game day. Fashion Girl asks her boyfriend Dean to take off from his job and go with her to Miami in case she has that bad dream again and needs emotional support. Chapter 4. Fashion Girl and her crew arrive in Miami and meet with the team and city officials. Zara joins them as she was in town having her yacht undergo its annual certification. Chapter 5. Belkay had remained behind to be with her friend Sax, who is recovering from eye surgery. The surgery was successful and Sax's vision is restored. They meet an old friend and spend the evening with the friend's family, bringing them up to date with their new lives as allies of Fashion Girl. They then join Fashion Girl and the others. Chapter 6. Fashion Girl and Sephora practice with the cheerleading team. Fashion Girl is a little rusty due to the time that had passed since she was a high school cheerleader, but Sephora has not lost a step. During the cheerleader's off day, another cheerleader is kidnapped. Miami is playing the Philadelphia Eagles, and Sephora, a die-hard Philadelphian, takes the opportunity to sneak into her ostensible opponent's locker room to visit with her sports heroes. Back on the field, Sephora is abducted, and when the chloroform wears off, finds herself locked up with the missing cheerleaders. She remembers that the arm that restrained her was fuzzy, which points the finger of suspicion at the team mascot. After being captured, the mascot is revealed to be the cheerleader choreographer, who was upset that she was not fairly compensated after an on-field work injury ended her days as a cheerleader. Chapter 7. After Fashion Girl is debriefed about the capture of the kidnapper, she is approached by an individual who identifies himself as Lucifer and tells her that he had implanted the dream that she suffered as a precaution. There really is a gang called the Crypt Keepers who are leading a crime wave. Lou, as he prefers to be called, wants Fashion Girl to take on the gang who are falsely doing evil things in his name, and he wants her to be well prepared. Chapter 8. Fashion Girl and the Style Chicks lay over in Baton Rouge for a month and then reveal themselves as the new and improved Archangels. They each have gained new powers. Fashion Girl is now known as Phoenix, and a new ally joins them, She-Ra, who is now known as Firebolt. All of these preparations are needed as the Crypt Keepers are approaching Colonia. Chapter 9. With her foreknowledge about the Crypt Keepers, this time Fashion Girl does not try to take them down by herself. She and the other Archangels make short work of them and leave the gang's leader first frozen in ice and then charboiled. Chief of Police Marcus shows up to take the men into custody and the women to lead the women into their new lives of freedom. We will now pause before returning for the review and scoring.
Godiva presided over this ceremony and said, "Good evening, everyone. I know all of you have been wondering what Fashion Girl had in mind that she needed 30 days in Baton Rouge to do it in. The answer is about to be revealed. Macy, is our guests ready?" Macy answered, "One moment, mate, I'll check." When the green light was given, Macy continued, "They're ready, Godiva." Godiva continued, "Fashion Girl has recruited 5 new allies. However, unlike the ceremonies you've witnessed in the past, they will come out one by one to introduce themselves, and here they are." Sephora came out first in a different costume and said with a different tone of voice, "I am Whirlwind. I will literally blow you away." Tiffany came out next and said, "I am Solara, the sun goddess. I'm too hot to handle. Mess with me and you'll be burned." Penny came out next and said, "I am Nighthawk. I rule the skies and anything that flies." The mystery woman Tiffany asked to join them came out and said, "You'll get a jolt out of me for I am Firebolt, and you're in for the shock of your life." Finally Fashion Girl came out and said, "And I am the Phoenix. I've risen from the ashes once more to avenge those who are harmed by others, and get their revenge for them." Then they all said, "And together, we are the Archangels." Dean, Fred Jr., Edward, and Thomas looked at them in stunned awe. Fashion Girl waved her hand in front of them and said, "Boys? Hello? You who? What's wrong? Does my new costume make me look fat?" Fashion Girl's brother Fred Jr. asked, "All right, ladies, where are the Style Chicks?" Fashion Girl answered, "Freddie, it's us, the Style Chicks, in our new roles as the Archangels." Dean asked, "You mean to say that you spent a month away from your friends, family, and me to play dress up?" Fashion Girl answered, "Not exactly, Dean. Do you remember when Lou asked to speak with me in private? He asked me if there were some things I wanted to change. This was one of those changes. When that horrid woman called me a skank, I knew at that moment that something had to change. I've been under so much stress lately. As the Phoenix, my powers as Fashion Girl have been multiplied by 10, and what's more, I can fly without the glam mobile. In fact, we all can now." Dean took a closer look at Fashion Girl's new look and said, "The Phoenix, huh? I like it. You look even sexier in black. What were the other 2 things you wanted to change?" Fashion Girl replied, "While I was in Baton Rouge, I registered to take online course at Colonia University. Before I became Fashion Girl, I was admitted to several colleges. But after I became Fashion Girl, I put higher education on hold. I can't be Fashion Girl forever, and I'll be too old someday to model, so I registered. I start in the spring. And I have a surprise just for you. The third thing I wanted to do was have another baby. My birthday was on September 13th, I turned 29. I knew that my biological clock is ticking, and I didn't want to wait before it was too late. I was planning to have a baby with you, and now we are. I'm pregnant." Dean took Fashion Girl in his arms and twirled her around. Fashion Girl asked, "I take it that you're happy?" Dean answered, "Happy? I'm thrilled. How far along are you? Fashion Girl replied, about 5 weeks. I think I conceived on the plane heading towards Miami. Dean continued, it makes the surprise I have for you even more meaningful. Dean took a box out of his pocket, opened it and continued, you're having a baby is great news, but you'll make me even happier if you'll accept this ring and be mine forever. Daphne, will you marry me? Fashion Girl put her hands in front of her mouth, began to cry and answered, yes I will. Everyone on hand was so excited for the happy couple, but questions did start popping into the heads of the others. Sandy, Sephora's mother, asked, if the Phoenix is Fashion Girl and you wearing lavender, you're Sephora? In her normal voice Sephora answered, yes Mom, Dad, Johnny, it's me. Don't worry, I'm still Sephora of the Style Chicks. As Whirlwind of the Archangels, I now have new powers, one of which I can make the winds blow at my command, hence my new name. Tiffany's boyfriend Edward approached her and asked, so babe, you're Solara now? Tiffany answered, just when we are the Archangels. As Solara, I can turn night into day. I can produce small versions of the sun itself, and shoot them at people or targets. And as you heard Fashion Girl say, I can fly now. I think my sky surfboard is worn out. Edward replied, I like the tan look babe, and dyeing your hair brown is also cool. Penny added, it's a good thing too. I have heel indents in my back from where Tiffany stands on me. Penny's boyfriend Thomas came to her and asked, I'm confused, Penny, you already rule the night and you're able to fly, so what makes you different as Nighthawk? Penny replied, as Nighthawk I am now as one with all birds. Plus I can now disrupt the instrument panels on planes and jets, especially those flown by our enemies. Then everyone wondered who Firebolt really was. It was none other than Fashion Girl's ally in the Galactic Alliance, the Princess of Power herself, Shira. Shira said, I was asked by Tiffany, and agreed to help Fashion Girl on this new venture of hers. The planet where I'm from is now at peace, and so is the planet I defended. I've been demoted, if you will, to being an ambassador. I am a warrior and always will be. When Fashion Girl tells me about the evil people on this planet, I wanted to help. As Firebolt, I can help her accomplish this new goal. Fashion Girl added, remember everyone, we are still the Style Chicks. In these new identities and costumes, think of us as upgraded versions of ourselves. Fred Jr. said, sis, Dad wanted to come here tonight, but he came down with a cold. But he wanted to pass along a message. He's very, very proud of you. He saw what you did in Miami and how you did it. I'm sure he'll be thrilled to have another grandchild and a new in-law. You have lived up to and exceeded Mom's expectations. Fashion Girl replied, thank you Freddie, it means a lot to me. Just then, the phone began to ring. Fashion Girl went into her study with Tiffany and Penny behind her. She picked up the phone, said hello as the voice on the other end said, Fashion Girl, this is Chief Marcus. Our town is once again in need of your help. A gang of renegades called the Crypt Keepers. They are coming this way, they just left San Francisco. Please help us. At that moment, Fashion Girl fell to the floor. Penny shouted, Boss. Boss. Tiffany asked, what happened? Penny replied, she must have fainted. Look after her, I'll see who's on the phone. Penny picked up the phone and said, this is Penny Dillard, to whom am I speaking with? Chief Marcus replied, it's Chief Marcus, Penny. How are you doing? What brings you to town? Penny said, I'm here to help Fashion Girl on a special assignment. Chief Marcus asked, what happened to Fashion Girl? I was talking with her, then I heard this thud. Is she all right? Penny answered, she'll be okay. She fainted. Chief Marcus said, I was telling Fashion Girl about a gang of renegades called the Crypt Keepers. They just finished plaguing San Francisco, now they're coming here before they hit LA. Penny said, don't worry Chief. We'll meet them at the county line. They won't make it into town. Chief Marcus replied, thank you Penny. Let us know once they've been stopped. Penny said, that's what we're here for. Chief Marcus replied, good luck Style Chicks, bye bye. Penny hung up the phone and asked, is Fashion Girl all right Tiffany? Fashion Girl answered, I'm fine Penny. I've never fainted before in my life. Everything Lou told us is coming true. Vicky, can you get a pinpoint spot on these people? There should be 15 vehicles in all. Victoria replied, right away Fashion Girl. Moments later, Victoria said, "Fashion girl, there is a convoy of 15 hearses going southbound on I-5. At their present speed and course, they will arrive here in about 2 hours." Macy asked, "Fashion girl, since I was such an intricate part of your dream, may I come along?" Fashion girl answered, "Actually, it's a good idea. Take the glam mogul and Dean, you go with her. Find the first exit out of town and stay close to the highway." "Okay, ladies, this is our first mission as Archangels, let's do it to it." Tiffany replied, "Wait a moment, fashion girl. We can't say that if we aren't the style chicks. We need a new battle cry." Fashion girl said, "You're right, Tiffany. How about let's rock?" Tiffany replied, "Works for me." The 5 Archangels left the mansion and flew away into the night sky. Everyone was stunned. Dean said, "I don't believe it, they're all flying. Come on, Macy, we need to go where Fashion Girl wants, so we'll be there too." Macy replied, "Right behind you, mate." Macy took the wheel of the glam mogul to meet up with the Archangels, in which they were about to face the biggest challenge they ever had.
And now for Godiva's backstory. The original Fashion Girl wanted to add more style chicks to her group, but after she was killed, the original Tiffany's first and final act as leader was to disband. The current Fashion Girl learned of this, and she decided to do the additions, and one of them was Godiva. Godiva, she's big, she's brown, she's luscious. Godiva is the tallest and the heaviest of the style chicks, standing at 6 feet 2 inches tall and weighs 190 pounds. However, you won't find a single ounce of fat on her. She was born Lakeisha Johnson in 1993 in Chicago, Illinois. Although her father was a wealthy and prominent businessman, his only daughter decided to run around with a gang of female thugs, causing all kinds of chaos and mayhem. When her gang was disbanded, a Chicago judge was going to put her away for life, but her father's influence in the community spared Lakeisha from prison. Instead, the judge banished her from Chicago for life. Her father had her exiled to Japan, and she learned the martial arts from the original Tiffany sensei, the legendary White Dragon. Lakeisha also has the ability to fire a gun with dead shot accuracy, but that judge in Chicago also prohibited her from ever owning or using a firearm of any kind, not even in the event of an emergency. So she instead learned how to use a bow and arrow and discovered that she has dead shot accuracy too. The new Tiffany also learned some martial arts skills in Japan. She met Godiva and invited her to come back to the States to serve Fashion Girl's cause. As Godiva, Lakeisha uses her training both as a martial artist and an archer. Godiva is also a mother of 4, and with Fashion Girl's help, is trying to restore her reputation, get back into Chicago's good graces, and reunite with her family. Until that happens, Godiva's efforts to be the sweet warrior will continue. All she asks for in return is a little sugar.
At 17 we fell in love, high school sweethearts. Love was so brand new. We took the vows of man and wife, forever, for life. I remember how we made our way, a little patience, the times we prayed. Can't imagine that this love is through. Feeling the pain, girl, when you lose. Oh, it's too hot, too hot, too hot, lady.
Wrap up. When I first read Chapter 1, my immediate reaction was, oh no, this is going to be like Sue Ellen waking up and seeing Bobby Ewing in the shower, or the season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where you didn't know if it actually happened or it was just a delusion of an inmate in a psychiatric asylum. However, Robbie is a better writer than that and came up with a twist that saved this story from being just another tired old trope. In addition, the Style Chicks get upgraded powers and new names. Look forward to a separate story about the Archangels. Fashion Girl now has the wisdom to reflect on the mistakes she had made in her dream and prepare effective countermeasures to take on the false prophet who had named himself Lucifer and his minions, the Crypt Keepers. For these reasons, I give this story an 8. As always, viewers are invited to submit their own reviews and scores. The book, The Further Adventures of Fashion Girl by Robbie Graham, is available on Amazon.com. Tune in next week for another Fashion Girl story review from the second book of the trilogy. This is Bob Mozart of the USCFL signing off.